Hi, I'm Jake. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making just a simple English cob loaf. It's a perfect place to begin baking because it's just utilizing the ingredients you already have in your kitchen. It's a great place to start, and I can't wait to start with you. Just go ahead and grab all of your ingredients. The first kind of flour that you're going to want to grab, and the only kind for this recipe, is strong white bread flour. The reason why you're going to want to choose that flour as opposed to all-purpose flour is it has a higher protein content. That's going to help give you stronger gluten hold. So when your bread rises, it's going to be able to expand and make a better loaf. It's best to use, especially with flour, to weigh out it into grams because air can really affect how much flour is in your recipe. The next thing you're going to want, softened butter. Roughly 30 grams of softened butter, room temperature. You're going to want a dash of salt or a pinch of salt, roughly about 10 grams of that. That's what's going to give your bread a better flavor. Some just extra flour for your board in case your loaf starts to stick when you're kneading it. And then instant yeast. So yeast is what gives bread flavor. If you just had like a spoonful of flour on its own, it's going to be pretty gross. So we want to use about 10 grams of that as well, which is roughly a tablespoon. And then we have 320 milliliters of water. Room temperature water is perfect. You don't want it too hot because the heat will actually end up killing the yeast. Now that we got everything going, we can go ahead and do the fun stuff. We can go ahead and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and grab our 500 grams of white bread flour, add the salt, so pinch a good amount of salt in there. And then we're going to add the yeast to the other side of the bowl. Yeast will actually be killed by salt, so you don't want to add them right next to each other. We're going to add that to the other side of the bowl. Now we're going to add our butter, 30 grams of butter, and then about 3/4 of our water. So you want to start out with less water first. You can always add more flour, but you can't take out water. So then we're just going to go ahead and mix a little bit with our hands. Get it going. We need more water. I'm going to go ahead and add more water in and keep going until we get it fairly nice and smooth, until it's able to be handled. You could always use a whisk with this, a dough whisk, or you can use a stand mixer too. That is always an option. I prefer the hands. I don't know why. I think it gives me a little bit more malleability with the dough, and I can feel when it's getting to where I need it to be. It's to that shaggy point where I want it, where we see just a little bit of that gluten start to develop. It's pulling a little bit, but it's still breaking. So now what we're gonna do is knead it until we get it nice and smooth. A good way to knead is to push, fold towards you, roll it out, turn. I'm gonna keep doing that until it gets smooth and elastic. We're just gonna do this for about 10 to 15 minutes. All right, at this point, you can tell the dough has become really smooth and really silky. It's exactly where you want it to be by the time you're ready to let it proof. I'm gonna go ahead and get this into a nice ball. What I do to get that ball is to just roll it on the counter, but see how it's slipping? You want it to have a nice pull to it. So just take a little bit of water. That's gonna help it to stick. What we wanna do is help to form something called, when it bakes, it's an oven spring. That is gonna help expand the gluten all over the dough so that when it rises, you get a nice tall rise without any breaks in it. There we have it. We're ready to prove. So taking the bowl that we already used, lift it up, put it in there, and then we're gonna let it prove for about an hour, up to 3 hours. You want it till it has risen about twice its size, doubled in size, and depending on how hot your kitchen is or how cool your kitchen is, that's really gonna dictate how long it takes for you to get to that point. Little note about rising, that's the dough fermenting, that's the dough releasing those really great flavors. That's that yeast just burping flavor into your bread. And we're gonna preheat the oven to around 440 degrees. I went ahead and put a roasting pan in there to go ahead and heat up. When it's time to bake, I'm gonna put some water in the bottom. That'll help to create a nice steam bath almost for the bread to get a taller rise on it, because you're not that the outside's not drying out too soon before the inside's done. And it's going to help just keep it nice and moist for the entire thing. All right, so the bread is nicely proved. I went ahead and double checked it, just putting a little indent and it bounces back just enough. So what we wanna do is go ahead and dust this a little bit so that we can, when we score it, it's gonna leave really nice, beautiful marks. Dust it all over, get a nice coating of it. Now what I'm gonna do is score it. You wanna use a knife that is very sharp. So I'm just going to go across it once, twice, 3, and 4. This will give us a really beautiful diamond pattern when it's pulled out of the oven. I've got my hot water. I'm gonna pour this into my roasting pan in the bottom to get a nice steam bath going. And from there, we can go ahead and put this bread in the oven to bake. And then it's just a quick, about 20 to 30 minutes, still nice and risen and golden brown, and we will be all set to go. So there you have it, 30 minutes of actual work and then 2 to 3 hours of, putting your feet up, relaxing. You have this wonderful, wonderful bread. This is great with butter. I like to drizzle a little honey on at the end. So let's take a look inside. Oh, it's the best sound ever. That's some good bread. It's perfect to share. Just like this video, you can go ahead and share this, subscribe, like, follow me on Instagram at Bread Salt Baked Goods. I'll be on there sharing my experiences in the kitchen, show you what to do and a lot of what not to do. Thanks for stopping by and thanks for baking with me today. I'll see you next time.